You know what I like? Shitty covers of songs that aren't good to begin with.
Yeah.
Talking about Pet Sematary, the song. Look, let's face it. The Ramones weren't a great band.
No.
A lovable one.
Yeah.
Well, they weren't great. Let's be honest here.
I could bop to a couple tunes.
You could bop to the Blitzkrieg bop, but really, if you look at it,
It's not
examine
great.
it, it's not good. It's not good.
Yeah.
It's definitely not great. But anyway, we're not talking about shitty covers, or are we? Because What the hell's a Warte? I don't know, but it's today we're talking about
It's a good start.
Pet Sematary, the second adaptation of the perennial classic from Stephen King. Yes, that's right. It's time to bring back Stephen King's shit or hit. I don't even know if that's the right order.
Shit.
Hit
It
or
was
shit.
one of them.
I don't know. It's been so long since we've done one of these that I just spit all over the place in excitement.
Yeah.
The point is, we're talking about Pet Sematary, recent remake, as they called it, but really re-adaptation.
You gotta instantly hate it because it's a remake.
Yeah, look, man, this thing was plagued from the beginning.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? For some fucked reason, people love the shit out of the original Pet Sematary adaptation. Now, if you saw our Stephen King's hit or shit about that one, you know damn well that we do not like that version.
Not great.
We do love us some Fred Gwynn in it. He's a great Judd Crandall.
It's got okay moments.
It's got some decent moments, but yeah, overall, that sucker aged as badly as a prune in the sun.
Yeah, definitely got some poltergeist syndrome going on.
I'd rather watch Pet Sematary, the original, than Poltergeist.
Yeah, that's
the
a good
original,
point.
though.
It's a lot less annoying.
I'll give you that. I'll give it that much. But not too much, because, yeah, it was just a movie that we kind of figured this doesn't deserve the hype.
Yeah.
Biggest sin it committed was the acting, which was horrendous. Second biggest sin was the exclusion of one of the most important elements in the fucking story. Now, Pet Sematary is one of my favorite books from Stephen King. It used to be my favorite, now it's my second favorite. And, if you're not familiar with the story, basically dead people come back to life. Well, the story all just deals with our ability as humans or inability to deal with grief, to deal with loss, and the limits we're willing to go to because of that. In this case, literally bringing somebody back from the dead. So anyway, let's talk about this little flick here. It was brought to us by a couple of up-and-coming horror names. Although after the response for this movie critically and in the box office, which is kind of middling, I don't know if they're going to continue to rise in the ranks or just remain underground. But this was, I guess, their leap from the indies to the mainstream. And yeah, man, as aforementioned, I know because I'm in several Stephen King groups. People are trying to kill this thing from the get-go, as far as King fans go. And then a lot of it had to do with we refuse to let the original adaptation go, which, again, boggles my fucking mind. How do you see that movie and go, that's a good movie? It's not.
I mean, when your father is mildly inconvenienced by a kid's death,
yeah,
you're kind of like, really, dude?
Yeah, man. One of the biggest things in that, as I said, is the acting. It's so bad.
Yeah.
Only one great actor in that movie, and then that's it. That's it.
Herman.
So anyway, this movie, we wanted to go into this as fairly as possible. So do you think, first of all, kind of a dead question on arrival, but did you have any expectations? Did you want to compare it to the original? What was your mindset going into watching this movie?
I mean, I assumed it was going to be better than the original.
I mean, a fart in the wind.
Because, yeah, the freaking bar is so low. And the fact, I'm in some horror groups, too, and people are just kind of shitting on it.
Mm-hmm.
But I also saw a lot of people being like, this is good.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people saying this is good.
Right.
So I was kind of like, this is probably going to be pretty good.
Mild expectation.
Yeah. I was expecting it to be good because people just seem to overreact stupidly to remakes sometimes.
Yeah, that's often the case. Now, I expected...
And, again, the bar was so low.
Yeah. Like you, yeah, the bar was so low already in terms of the previous adaptation that it couldn't go anywhere but up. And if it went down, holy hell, we had a cult classic of shittiness then. As far as an adaptation, from book to movie, that's a lot of book that I wanted to chomp down into. So as a fan of the book, I was like, I was nervous. I was like, oh man, they could fuck it up again. And then what? We have to wait another 20 years or something?
It's like it.
Won't make it till then, so unless you put me in a pet cemetery, I won't be able to see the next one.
We
but
definitely got 2-3 years tops.
Max. So yeah, man, I was nervous. I had some fair expectations. Again, more due to the work of the previous work of the directors. However, also I knew that several scripts had been written, one of which I read. So I was like, I don't know where that ends up. You don't know where shit like that ends up, what the production might have or might not have been like. So, yeah, kind of like maybe a little bit more nervous than you. You were more like a moderate expectation. I was more like this could go wrong. So now we've just seen it. What's your takeaway right after? Like, you just got up. What's the first thing comes into your mind?
It just kind of cements how shitty the original one was. I feel like did everything way better.
Yeah.
And was actually effective when it was trying to do. And I think the main actor,
Jason Clarke.
Yeah, after the thing with the kid happens, spoiler, dies / ghouls come. I think he was actually kind of channeling the original actor in that he had this kind of weird, dead-eyed, way of going around. Only it made sense because of the shit that they set up.
The original was actually dead-eyed because he sucked.
Because he's a bad actor.
And this one, it was more like he was driven by the hideous things that really he was doing.
Yeah, and then it sets that up earlier on, so you're kind of like, this makes sense why he's acting this way, not this dude is slightly inconvenienced that his kid's dead.
Mm-hmm.
And then, there's just that one scene where he shows grief in the original.
Yeah, I'm with you, man, in terms of this does everything the original tried exponentially better. Now, for those of you poo-pooing on this fucking shit before you even see it, which is a thing now, apparently, and for those of you that saw that love the original, saw this, and were like, fuck that, then say fuck the original.
Yeah.
Because the original was adapted by Stephen King himself. And I have a feeling that partially because we know that the studio made Mary Lambert, the director, cut out a lot of stuff. We know that. Partially that. But also I think partially King was afraid that he was going to be too on the nose about the Wendigo. So he scaled it down too much. To the point where it was virtually non-existent. Here they fix that big fucking issue. So basically, if you poo-poo on on this one, you have to poo-poo on the first one because it covers the exact same beats that the first one does.
Yeah.
Everything that's important to the story is there, which is something that I do have to give accolades to the first one for. It covered the important beats of the story. Did that make it a good movie? No, it just covered the important beats. This one covers every single important beat with a few cosmetic changes, which I know we'll get to those because those fucking caused an uproar, didn't they? With a few cosmetic changes, and then added the elements that were missing to make the other end of this thing work and to kind of up the stakes for the grief portion as well. Give them a new meaning, give them more substance. So yes, everything on that level, storytelling was highly improved. Of course, cinematography, effects, all that stuff that comes with technology, that was improved. The acting, duh.
Yeah, you don't got Tasha Yar stinking it up.
Shit, man.
And she was the better one.
Those two leads in the original.
The only good one was Herman Munster.
Herman Munster was our boy in the original.
He was great.
Now let's talk about that because that's one of the cosmetic changes, so to speak, in this movie. The character of Judd Crandall is kind of an important character, and I get why people love him in the original. We love him in the original.
It's the only good thing.
The saving grace. And he really captured the spirit of Judd in the book, despite the original adaptation changing some things, i.e. his wife being dead already, which they keep here from the movie. The original, if you want a loyal adaptation of Judd, the original is the only one that's going to give it to you. Unfortunately, you have to put up with all the other bullshit. But here we have John Lithgow, who I think, and I will say this to my dying day, the Lithmeister, Lithorama, Gower, he is one of the most underappreciated actors. And I think one of the ones that kind of gets you out of the blue. He just reminds you that, hey man, I'm more than that kooky guy that was in that Alien show. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. He just surprises me every time he does something and makes me wish that he would have always gotten bigger roles. And this is one of those roles, man, because Judd here is not tackled the same way that he is in the book or in the previous adaptation.
He's a lot more menacing through like the first half of the movie.
And there's given ample reason as to why. First of all, he's kind of distanced himself because of the death of his wife. Second, it's made very clear that the influence of the Wendigo is pervasive throughout the history of the town, and he's touched by it, as is everyone else. Which, by the way, for those people crying about the masks on the kids, oh, that was useless, that was a marketing tactic. No, that's part of that tapestry. If you didn't get that, oh my God, why? How could you not get that? But anyway, whatever. There's that, and yes, he's much more aloof because of that. So he warms up to the characters as the movie goes, and that plays such an important part to the other slight cosmetic change, the death of Ellie instead of Gage.
Yeah, I think that's a way better move because you get to kind of like her more. Whereas the original is just a freaking fetus running around.
Yeah.
Mind you, I don't hate fetuses, but you don't get the chance to learn the character.
Exactly, man.
You know?
In the book, you have a lot more room to understand why. Don't get me wrong, the death of a child is a tragedy, and we understand that instinctually. But in the book, you get to know the child a lot more intimately because you can without speech and dialogue.
There's an actual character in the movie in this one.
Mm-hmm.
Because, you know, it's again not a fetus running around.
Yes, so putting Ellie in the place of the child that is killed was a great choice, not only for us, the viewer, but for the Judd character, because we understand how he grew to love her, because we grew to love her. Yeah. And it was pretty tragic to see her die. The only way they could have made that scene more tragic is if they had, like a la Hereditary, shown you a graphic side of it, which would have been, you know, gut-wrenching. But, you know, yes. And I do feel that the movie made a mistake in terms of its marketing and showing you that Ellie was going to be the one that died.
Yeah, because they do play it off as like the kid's going to die, the little one.
And was it me or did you feel this also that even though knowing that, I was like, wow, that would have worked great anyway.
Yeah.
Not knowing it would have worked fantastically because it works despite me knowing it.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, so even though the marketing ruined that aspect, that Ellie was going to be the kid that died, it still works, and it's still, because it's literally the death of someone that you've come to like, and the little girl playing her is so personable and likable that just, you know, escalates the whole affair. So a slight cosmetic change there, a slight cosmetic change with Judd Crandall, and I think the biggest cosmetic change will probably have to be the end. That does differ in a completely different way, and I know some people are for it, I know some people are against it. And the reasons are multitude. Are you for it or are you against it? And why? While you think about that, let me just say to the viewers, the original ending, in case you don't remember, is loyal to the book in terms of the main character, Lewis Creed, decides, even after all he's gone through, that he's going to bury his wife in the pet cemetery anyway because she died recently, so she might not come back wrong. And of course, it plays that gray area between, is his grief making him reason this way, or is the Wendigo making him reason this way, or both? And of course, it ends with the wife coming back, and boom, fade to black. And that's very loyal to the book. This one has a different ending entirely, in the sense, I won't ruin the ending, but the character's realization is not, or I'm sorry, the character does not come to the logical fallacy of, yeah, my wife will be better if I just because she recently died. He actually comes to realize something, and because of that, the ending is different. What did you think?
I think, sadly, because of how effective the whole movie was, way more effective than the original, I mean, that original ending would have been a little bit more effective for me. Just because that is one of the few things that was kind of like serious in the original, like, you know. It does give you that feeling of this. There's a grasp on this dude, even though there was zero Wendigo in the original. I think that would have been a little bit more effective in this because there is such a good build-up. That being said, it's basically the same ending. It just kind of shows you what would have happened if it kept going. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, that's what's gonna happen. It was all right.
I'm actually in the camp that I kind of prefer this ending. Now, don't get me wrong, the original ending would have been great also. The reason is this. This movie went out of its way to inject the Wendigo influence into the movie. From the opening shot with the sounds of the loons and the shot overhead of the the Indian territories and the woods to the closing shot. the Wendigo is a pervasive presence throughout the movie, and it's subtle in terms of the way it's presented, though it's obviously there. It's an obvious thing. Unlike the first one, you know when the Wendigo is pulling the strings and manipulating.
You don't go, what the hell was that thing that popped up?
Yeah, exactly. This doesn't leave you wondering why, or in some cases, which I think the movie did for me, the movie, not the book, it just kind of felt like, why would anyone think that at this point? You know what I'm saying? Why would he think that? Whereas the book, you do. I mean, I understood why in terms of the story, but in terms of the way the original movie presented, I was like, come on, man, who would bury there at this point?
I think what I was trying to say is that there's a couple scenes with Judd where he basically tells him that the Wendigo is gonna make you think that way.
Yeah,
and I think since that was set up so well, that would have been a cool ending, to have.
Yes,
because it is set up so well, and that you see him go through the same arc that it would have happened. He's got a little, like, he doesn't want to do it at the beginning, but then he takes him up there with the cat. So it would have been kind of neat to see that again. But at the same time, we already saw this.
Yes.
So it makes sense to change it.
Yeah, which is kind of where I was going to. We already seen that ending, and here's an alternative ending where you kind of get the same end game.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it gives you something different. And by that I mean, Lewis doesn't end up trying to convince himself, or the spirit doesn't try to convince it. The spirit, more like Pet Sematary 2, the original Pet Sematary 2, is running rampant by that time. Yeah. It's gotten the upper hand. It now has human bodies. And because of that, this new ending comes. So in this sense, the Wendigo spirit is pervasively powerful throughout, which is one of the big reasons why I like Pet Sematary 2 of the original movies. Because it actually didn't hold back on showing how the spirit wants to, fucking evolve from trying to get out of there through pets.
Yeah.
And actually get human flesh under its nails. The spirit here is mean. It's nasty. And it plays that psychology enough to get its way. And that's ultimately what this ending shows you. It's not so much the grief aspect. It's much more that this spirit ends up winning. It used grief to win. And that's kind of spooky on its own way, and it's unique in its own way, while at the same time, yes, not betraying that original feeling. So it's a nice alternative ending that, if you think about it, makes absolute sense. Now, I hear that there's an alternative ending which is more akin to the original, so I guess if you like that in the DVD, you could see that.
I would want to see that just because of how well it was set up, you know what I mean? But at the same time, this was basically the same, like you said, the same end game, so...
So yeah, man, let's talk about other elements in this that you might either like or dislike. I got to point out that the score was especially ominous. It was brought to us by Christopher Young, notably the composer for Hellraiser 1 and 2. Not so notably the composer for Ghost Rider.
Oh.
Boo! But here... he's in his,
it's pretty good, yeah.
He's in this playground, and it's like this thrumming, ominous background, pervasive thing. It's almost like the Wendigo. It's always there. It's always, bubbling on the edge of the scene. Yeah, man, I really like the score in this. It really lent to the mood of the overall thing. So I guess that would be my first pro, if I had to throw one out there. And give me anything you got there, pro or con, don't matter to me.
I think the fact that they did play Judd differently was good, because it would have been kind of foolish to try to step on the Gwyn Meister's feet. And old Johnny Lith really doesn't try to do that. He just does his own character.
He really does.
And there's a lot more to it, to the character, I think. So that's good. Now, this is one of the few things where I would say, I don't know if I think Gwyn is a more likable character, but I think Johnny Lith is a way more effective in this movie.
Yeah,
so
I agree.
It's kind of like a weird one.
I agree. Of course, yeah, Gwyn is very likable as he plays it close to the book, and here, as aforementioned, Judd is a little bit more aloof, a little bit more emotionally distant.
He's kind of like the audience watching this.
Yeah.
They're going to go in being like, this sucks.
And you know what? You mentioned earlier that he had kind of like a weird, almost menace to him.
Yeah,
and that's cool because it plays in with that idea of how the spirit has been affecting this town for years.
Yeah.
Down to that opening shot of the kids going to bury their, pet, and they have the masks on. Later, we learn the meaning of that, and even later, we know that that's just an avatar. Visual metaphor for the Wendigo's influence. So, yes, it does something that a lot of Stephen King books do, which is show how the evil has invaded almost every nook and cranny of the city or town that it takes place in, which is pretty cool, man. And John Lithgow was portrayed the character that way. He was aloof for the reasons with his wife, but then later we find out that was also tied into the Wendigo, which, again, unsettling the way it was done. It was cool, man. I really liked that. And he just lost himself in that role. Was it me, or was I like, whoa, this is weird, man. This is like not even Johnny Lith.
Yeah, it was kind of weird.
It was pretty cool, man. I really liked
him being alien or wandering the freaking halls of 30 Rock, Lost. So it was pretty cool.
Yeah, good role, portrayal.
I think they did the whole ghost thing way better in this.
Agreed.
It was like just kind of weird in the original and didn't make a whole lot of sense.
In the original, it was a crutch because they didn't know how to visually tell certain things, so they just had this ghost
being like,
Victor Pascal.
Hey, this is what's going on, guys.
Here, he's played like he's in the book, an omen, somebody trying to prevent something. At times, he even comes off as dubious at times, which is pretty cool that they played it at both sides there. But yeah, I agree with you, man. They played that up a whole lot better, entirely. Also, I think another thing that they played up a whole lot better is the idea of the wife, Ludacris's wife, being incapable of handling grief or death, I should say. Every character or main character in this movie is incapable of handling death. In some particular way, in the terms of Louis Creed, it's because of kind of almost his agnostic bent towards it, and in terms of his wife, it's because of the trauma she suffered early on. Whereas in the original movie, it comes off as just like, why are we seeing these scenes with her sister?
They were effective, but you're kind of like, why?
Yeah, they were more viscerally effective in the original than meaningful to the plot.
And here they tie them out, and they're kind of like throughout the movie. It just doesn't come off as random, like the ghost.
And they tie it into her just this like almost escapist notion, like this fear-driven escapist notion of this inability to handle death, period. Which is, on par with the book, It's something that just lingers in her psyche. And they play it off here that way. Like you said, they pepper it throughout instead of like, just kind of being like this out of the blue, like, what the fuck? Okay, I guess. I mean, it's unsettling, but what the fuck? Scene. I have to say that's really the wife as a whole. It's like she was such a waste in the original. Bad actress and a waste. So here we have that fixed, thankfully. As aforementioned, I think the biggest kudos has to go to this little girl. I wish I knew her name or would have remembered it. That plays Ellie. Fantastic job.
That was another reason why I think the choice to make it a older kid was good, because though he was fine in the original, it's a little kid.
Yeah, you can only do so much.
You're not gonna be having him taunt people and shit. So you do get that in this because they can do it. So that's good. So
now I've heard some people talk about this. I want your thoughts on it. And some people were, again, here I think they were just trying to find reasons to dislike it. So I paid particular attention to certain criticism to see how I would react to it. And one of the things they said was that they disliked how some of the scenes looked like sets. The only part that I would say seemed that way to me is once they crossed the deadfall. And I thought that was intentional. And it kind of looks that way in the original too, We have these bare bone trees and they're jagged. Looks
pretty similar to the original.
Yeah. So again, why are you hating on this one when it's kind of the same in the original? Whatever, but I thought it was an intentional visual choice. It didn't bother me. I just was especially on the alert for that because several people were on that shit.
It's nothing.
Okay,
It's like a non-issue.
Yeah.
Whoever said that, it's ridiculous. It looks way better in the original.
Oh yeah,
because it actually has like a visual style.
Yeah, agreed.
You do get kind of like the night stuff is really blue, but it works. So who cares?
Anything that stunk in this that might stick out besides the kitty? And I mean that because he was dead and that hair though.
And that thing was basic. Yeah, that guy's hair combing ability. Everybody's whole hair combing ability in this movie is questionable, dubious at best. I can't think of anything that stinks. Like I said, I'm a little like not 100% sold on the effectiveness of the ending, but I do think it's gonna be one of those things where like when I watch it again, I'll be like fine with it. And it is one of those like kind of super downer endings. So was the original, but this one's like doesn't give you any like doubt, you know. Right. So I have a feeling maybe that's why people don't like it. People seem to not like downer endings.
Yeah. Yeah. You know what? That's so fucking true. Like the Mist controversy.
Yeah.
Like, come on, man. I mean, what do you think you're watching here?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? This is literally a movie about death.
I saw this lame article being posted everywhere being like, the Mist ending finally explained after all. Explain? What do you mean explained?
Yeah, explained? What the hell? There's nothing to explain. It's pretty fucking obvious.
Anyway. That's the only thing that I think will improve when I rewatch it, because as a whole, I think this was way better.
Yeah.
In every way.
Yeah, I agree, man. Now, of course, we could argue with this, tiny little things, semantics. Not every movie is perfect. But the overall feeling here for me was a very satisfying adaptation. Could they do a better one? Feasibly, yeah. Death is a fucking versatile subject.
This is also...
But as far as... I'm sorry, real quick. As far as almost a direct-to-the-page adaptation goes, this one's it. There you go. Now, if they ever do this again, be adventurous with it, you know?
Yeah. Bring Clancy Brown back.
Yeah, definitely.
I think this feels really, really short, which is something that I can't say for the original. That was one where we were kind of counting the minutes. Mm-hmm. I keep saying original, but you know what I mean. The first adaptation.
Yeah.
So that was kind of cool, but at the same time, this one had a feeling of I actually want to hang out with these, or like, be around these characters more. So it was kind of like more obvious, like, oh man, this feels really short, but that's just because the pace is well done.
And you know what's crazy, though it does feel short, and it's again because it does go by, I don't want to say entertaining because it's a downer of a movie, but it does go by at a rate where you're consuming it and enjoying it as a film.
Yeah, there's no moments where you're like, this sucks.
Yeah, where you want to shoot your head off like in the original. And the weird thing is, and I mentioned this in the original, when we're talking about the original movie, one of the biggest things about the book is the feeling of the passage of time, which this movie actually manages to touch upon. Again, it's a small fucking thing, but for some reason, that's always stuck out to me in the book. Like, oh, look, it's Halloween now. Oh, look, it's her birthday now. Just little visual things like that, or just little cues like that mean something. And for some reason, when it comes to death, it means something too. So this movie touched on that, which is something I never felt despite them trying in the original one. I know it's a small thing, but just you mentioning that it felt quicker.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it managed to tackle that. I mean, they're pretty cool, I think.
There's also like one or two little references to their King things, but it's never freaking groan-inducing like Dark Tower. You're like, dude, you don't have to point out the reference and tell the audience to remember it.
Yeah, the references here make sense. I.e., driving towards Ludlow, and there's a dairy marker in distance. Makes sense.
Yeah.
Not, oh, look at my dog, it's cool. Saint Bernard, by the way. Oh, wow. Yeah. There was a Saint Bernard.
There was a Saint Bernard reference.
Bad example. The wife could have been driving a Buick 8.
Yeah.
Or Cadillac. Man, Stephen King in cars, dude.
Yeah, it's not great. I did question why anyone would buy a Maine shirt in this movie. But, people are weird, so I guess.
I did question why anybody would buy that cat.
Yeah.
Yeah, cat, though.
It's pretty evil.
You know what else I liked? I like kind of like
rest in peace, by the way. Actually dead.
Actually dead cat. Don't bury him in a pet cemetery because we know he's going to come back with shitty hair. I like this cat a lot more. First of all, the cat was a fucking thing.
Yeah.
When this fucking movie first got announced, people were like, it better be the original cat. How is it going to be the original
corpse?
Cat? First of all. Second of all, the original cat doesn't look like the cat in the book.
Yeah, it was a little too fluffy for my taste, the original one.
It was pretty cute, though.
Yeah, it was fine.
But anyway, the point is this cat is not cute.
No.
I mean, it's cute at first, but then it's like, which is the way it goes in the book. So cool.
The only thing I liked about the old cat was the eyes. That was kind of cool.
Speaking of eyes, yeah, that's where I was going with this. By the way, I really like the idea of them coming back wrong, or just not being solely in terms of the way they behave. Sometimes to the point of comical discomfort, but also in terms of physically coming back wrong, which again was something in the book that was prominent and disturbing. You know what I'm saying? Like, imagine that. Like, I have somebody back that I love, but
I got like a gammy foot.
Yeah, I got a gammy foot. Something's wrong with them, and you just can't ignore it.
Yeah.
It's like when you're talking to someone and they have a huge mole in their face, and you're like, damn it, I can't ignore it, man.
You start poking you.
Yeah. It's like if Scarlett Johansson was macking on you and you're going to kiss her neck, and there's like just this one mole with a big ass hair on it. You're like, dude, you just can't ignore it. So, bad example, but you know what I'm saying? That's a disturbing nature of something being broken, and they took that to a visual level too. And I don't know if you noticed, I'm sure you did. The cat had the crooked eye,
yeah,
and then of course the little girl had the crooked eye too.
Yeah,
so that was pretty cool, man. I like little touches like that.
I do like that it didn't go like crazy with it. Like you didn't
zombie status. Yeah.
Yeah, you didn't have like freaking the cat's spine coming out or some bullshit like that. Even though it would have kind of made sense since it was crumpled literally.
The one time it would have made sense.
But yeah, it's actually one of those things that it took me a little while to notice with the kid. I was kind of, something's wrong with her face.
Yeah.
And then the more you see it, you're like, oh, it's her freaking face is messed up. And then that scene with it, like, oh, that makes sense. But yeah, it was cool because you kind of take your time to notice it, I guess.
Mm-hmm. So overall, I think we've given that it gave us a good impression here. So go ahead and give us your score on a scale of 1 to 10. In terms of other Stephen King adapts, and any final thoughts you got on this little pick?
I think it's pretty great. The only thing that can make this better is if we get a part 2, a sequel or part 2 remake with Clancy Brown coming back, because Clancy Brown was great, but it's not gonna happen. I'm curious to see that alternate ending, just to see how it affects my thoughts. That being said, it's pretty good. I do understand why some people might not be too keen on that ending. I like it. It's just one of those things that I think it's gonna grow on me the more, because it did kind of, even though again, like you said, it's the same end game. It kind of came. It was a little surprising because I was expecting the other one. But that's good, I guess. Why the hell would you want the same thing again? Same thing with Johnny Lith. Why the hell would you want him to step on what's his face's feet? So that's good. I don't know what the hell I'm saying anymore. It's pretty good. I like it. This is gonna be the way I buy the original in that 2-pack.
Yeah, 2-pack status.
Thank you. The other one. Oh, there is one major con.
Okay.
That cover song at the end. Whoop, stinky.
Ramones cover song at the end. Bad.
Not good.
I would have preferred Rammstein's cover song of it, which doesn't even sound like English anymore. For that cover,
I'll give it a 9.5. I'm just gonna do the 1.5 just because I think that ending.
The ending, you want to see the alternative, see what's up. I was very satisfied with this adaptation. Again, this is one of my favorite books ever, really, definitely by King. So I had a lot of expectation in a sense, which is rare for me to go into a movie with expectation. And that I wasn't disappointed says a lot on its own. But anyway, yeah, man, everything improved in terms of if you're going to compare it to the original adaptation. Everything across the board improved, with the possible exception of Fred Gwynn. And it's not even a matter of this is worse. It's a matter of this is different and as good in its own unique way. So I can't complain, man. And I really like the ending. And again, I understand where you're coming from, and I'm all for that. I just really enjoyed the ending, so it was a straight through winner for me.
It's kind of eerie when you think about it.
Yeah, it is, and I think that's really the winning stroke for me is that fuck, man, they didn't ignore the fucking Wendigo thing. God, that's always bothered me, dude. I can't get over it. Why would you ignore that part? But anyway, they didn't hear, and so that's a good thing. I'm going to have to give this sucker... I'm going to give it a... Oh, it's hard. I'm going to give it a 8.5 for this reason. you can't beat the book. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You just cannot beat the book. But this is a really good adaptation. And I'm being conservative because I'm comparing it to other Stephen King movies like The Shawshank Redemption and shit like that. It's peers, if you will. So it's not going to come close to that. But 8.5 is pretty damn good. So that's what I'm going to give it. I highly recommend this.
So it's
Throw away the old piece of shit original adaptation.
It's a hit?
It's definitely a hit. I approve highly. You know, no matter what my 8.5 suggests. Why am I I feel bad saying that.
Very low.
But it's not. 8.5 is a high ass score. I'm just saying. You know, I'm looking at this under the microscope here, and I have to be considerate and fair. But you give us the more general. You give us the more relaxed.
I haven't read the book. I saw the original. Was not impressed. You know, that reference in Justice League was the only other experience with Pet Sematary I've had.
I don't remember what I gave the original, but I'm gonna assume it was somewhere around like a fucking 3 or 4,
something like that.
And if it wasn't, that's what it is.
Yeah.
So this is an 8.5, so it doubled and then some. So there you go. I put it into perspective for you. The point is, do check this movie out. They finally got it right. Excited. I mean, there's word that there's going to be a prequel, which would be interesting because the book, and even here they alluded when he's doing kind of investigation, they allude to the previous circumstances that happened in Ludlow.
You even get that in the original sequel.
Yeah. So it would be very interesting to see what's up.
I'm telling you,
Clancy.
Bring him back.
Clancy. Anyway, tell us what you think about this remake. If you saw this already and didn't like it, give it another chance, you know? Just put down the old nostalgia glasses for a while.
Yeah.
Shovel up nostalgia critics' asshole where they belong and just chill, man, and view it. Because this is pretty damn good. Yeah. Pretty damn good. Anyway.
Really, really rewatch the original and be like, whoa.
Yeah, for real. For all the people defending the original, you're fully entitled to. If you love it, you love it, you know? We love some garbage too. We can admit when garbage is garbage.
Yeah.
Garbage can be lovable, you know what I'm saying? But really, really, and I stress this, if you love the original but you haven't seen it in a long time, revisit.
Yeah, because that was your experience. I remember you kind of enjoying it. Not loving, but enjoying it.
Yeah, I enjoyed the original.
And I remember liking it, and then we were watching it, I was like, whoa, this is bad.
And then, you know, again, Pet Sematary is a book that I visit almost on a yearly basis. So I had recently done it.
Right after.
Right, yeah. And that before. Just before, and it just emphasized why the original sucks my ding. Anyway, do that. In the meantime, let us know what you think about this film. Hit like, share, subscribe to those notification buttons, because we're out.